Good evening to all our distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. May I request all our guests to keep their mobile phones in silent mode or switched off. Kindly note that there are two safety exits to your left and right in case of any emergency. May I invite the following dignitaries to take their respective places. Father S. George, Director of XLRI, Dr. Jayen Mehta, our Chief Guest and Orator, Ms. Nirmala Kurien, daughter of Dr. Verghese Kurien, Dr. Sanjay Patro, Dean Academics, Father Donald De Silva, Dean Administration and Finance. Please stand for the invocation. May I request Dr. Jayen Mehta, Ms. Nirmala Kurien, and our other dignitaries at the dais to please come and light the lamp. May I request Father George to help Dr. Mehta don the Uttariya and to present a sapling to welcome him. May I request Dr. Sanjay Patro to help Miss Kurien don the Uttariya and to present a sapling to welcome her. I request Father Donald de Silva to give the introduction to Father Arrupe Center for Ecology and Sustainability and the oration.
Reverend Father S. George, Director of XLRI, respected orator for the day, Dr. Jayen Mehta, Ms. Nirmala Kurien, beloved daughter of Dr. Kurien, Professor Sanjay Patro, Dean Academics, distinguished guests, faculty, staff, students, friends from the press and media. Very good evening to one and all. On behalf of Professor Tata Raghu Ram, the chairperson of the center FACES, I would like to introduce the center and dwell on the background to the Dr. Verghese Kurien Oration on Sustainability, one of the key events of XLRI held annually. Before I talk about the center FACES, Father Arrupe Center for Ecology and Sustainability, let me introduce you to Father Arrupe, by whose name the center is established. In 1942, Father Pedro Arrupe, a Spanish Jesuit priest, was appointed as novice master of Jesuit novices in Japan and was living in suburban Hiroshima when the atomic bomb was dropped in August 1945. He was one of 8 Jesuits who were within the blast zone of the atomic bomb, and all 8 survived the destination. Thanks to the nature, as they were protected by a hillock which separated their novitiate from the center of Hiroshima. They not only witnessed the misery of the people, but also learned that bombings of such kind not only destroyed life on earth, but had many environmental effects, including radiation exposure, increase in ground temperatures, ozone layer depletion, global warming, decreased agricultural production, damage to marine life, deforestation, long-term contamination of soil and crops, and many more. It is in this miserable situation Father Pedro Arrupe recommended the Jesuits all over the world to address the ecological concerns, making this as a priority of their mission. 17 years ago, in the year 2007, Jesuit congregation all over the world was celebrating the centenary of the birth of the same Jesuit, Father Pedro Arrupe. Celebrations included a variety of events hosted globally. In this context, Father Paul Fernandez proposed a center at XLRI to take care of ecological concerns and proposed to the director, Father Kashmir Raj, to address the ecological concerns faced by our region by establishing a dedicated center to be named after Father Pedro Arrupe. Hence, Father Arrupe Center for Ecology, FACE, came into existence. Later, in the year 2011, XLRI felt that we needed to address sustainability issues along with ecological concerns. Thus, sustainability was made part of the center, making it FACES, Father Arrupe Center for Ecology and Sustainability. It is a multidisciplinary center at XLRI which aims to promote policies, practices, and dialogue which have an impact on holistic and sustainable development of society and enterprises. Today, FACES engages in knowledge creation, knowledge dissemination, and knowledge application. In the year 2023-24, the center was involved in action research that would create sustainable development opportunities at societal level. Some of the ongoing action research projects include preparing zonal master plan for the eco-sensitive zone of the Dalma Wildlife Sanctuary in the outskirts of Jamshedpur, funded by the Jharkhand government. Professor Tata Raghu Ram is the principal investigator of this project. An investigation into multi-level entrepreneurial trials in the tribal context in select Indian states, funded by Indian Council for Social Science Research. Professors Vinayak Tripathi and Tata Raghu Ram are leading this study, providing technical support to Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology for the implementation of the action plan for circular economy in electronics and electrical sector under the EU Research Efficiency Initiative. Professor Kalyan Bhaskar is managing this investigation. Tata Steel Utilities and Infrastructure Societies Services Limited and FACES jointly have undertaken a collaborative experimental study on water conservation through behavioral changes at household level. Professor Alok Raj is the principal investigator, and year on year, FACES coordinates rural immersion program for all the first year students of XLRI in collaboration with Tata Steel Foundation. Other activities of the center undertaken by the chairperson include 2 publications in ABDC A category journal in the year 23-24, running AICT approved postgraduate certificate program in CSR leadership jointly offered by XLRI and Tata Foundation, providing guest lectures on business and biodiversity. As a speaker, Tata Raghu Ram serves in the high-level panel at National Conference on Responsible Business Conduct. The center's chairperson has also participated in the expert committee meeting of IICA Certificate Program in Business and Biodiversity Conservation. Professor Kalyan Bhaskar, who is also part of the center, serves as a member of the Global Technical Committee of Underwriters Laboratories Standards and Engagement to develop standards for circular economy in lithium-ion battery recycling. Dear friends, with all these activities of the center aligning to XLRI's vision to be an institution of excellence nurturing responsible global leaders for the greater common good and a sustainable future, with a definitive mission to nurture responsive ethical leaders sensitive to environment and society. XLRI is playing its part by organizing various conferences, conclaves, and orations during the academic year. Dr. Verghese Kurien Memorial Oration is a flagship annual event of XLRI Jamshedpur, organized by FACES to honor Dr. Verghese Kurien, the architect of India's White Revolution, which helped India emerge as the largest milk producer in the world. Dr. Verghese Kurien's dedication to rural development, dairy farming, and cooperative principles made him a revered figure in India. The oration serves as a platform for thought leaders to inspire young professionals and business leaders. We are proud to have Dr. Jayen Mehta, who will be showing us the way on how to transform lives of millions and also guide the center to move forward. I hope and pray that the FACES, a center with a purpose, may continue to serve the society with dedication and passion, all for the greater common good. Thank you.
Thank you, Father Donald. I now request Father George, our director, to introduce our orator and give his welcome address.
Mr. Jayen Mehta, Managing Director, Gujarat Co-operative Milk Marketing Federation Limited, Anand, Ms. Nirmala Kurien, my colleagues on the dais, faculty, senior executives of Tata Steel and various companies at Jamshedpur, alumni, colleagues, students, members of the press and media, ladies and gentlemen. I am happy to welcome you all to the 11th Dr. Verghese Kurien's Memorial Oration, and I thank you for your presence today. XLRI's relationship with Dr. Kurien goes back to over 30 years. Let me share with you a brief history of the purpose-driven life of Dr. Kurien. Dr. Verghese Kurien, often referred as the father of the White Revolution in India, was a prominent social entrepreneur and the architect of the country's dairy development program. Born on November 26, 1921 in Kerala, he played a pivotal role in transforming India's dairy industry and making the country one of the largest producers of milk in the world. Dr. Kurien's most significant contribution was the establishment of the Anand Milk Union Limited in Gujarat, which became a model for cooperative dairy farming. His innovative approach to dairy production and marketing not only improved the livelihood of millions of rural farmers, but also empowered women in the dairy sector. He was instrumental in the formation of the National Dairy Development Board and the implementation of Operation Flood, which aimed to create a nationwide milk grid. His efforts led to the establishment of a cooperative structure that ensured fair prices for both producers and consumers. Dr. Kurien received numerous awards and honors for his contributions, including Raman Magsaysay Award and the World Food Prize. He passed away on September 9, 2012, but his legacy continues to influence the dairy industry and the cooperative movements in India and beyond. Today, India continues to be the largest producer of the milk in the world since 1997, thanks to Operation Flood. Milk production has become an important secondary source of income for 70 million rural households engaged in dairy and for 70% of the workforce that comprised women. Dr. Kurien earned a Master's of Science in Mechanical Engineering with distinction from Michigan State University. He abandoned greener pastures abroad and came back to paint the country white. XLRI decided to institute this annual oration to commemorate Dr. Kurien's legacy because his life and work exemplifies the model for the responsible management leader, combining business skills with the larger good of the society and nation building. The sunshine that Dr. Kurien brought in the lives of millions in the country will always be remembered with gratitude. It is my pleasure to introduce our distinguished orator, Dr. Jayen Mehta, the Managing Director at Gujarat Co-operative Milk Marketing Federation Limited. Joined AMUL as a trainee in 1991. 3 decades later, he is the custodian of the brand AMUL, India's largest FMCG company with annual brand sales turnover of over 80,000 crores. With a presence in every category milk can be processed into, ascending to the top is one thing, but remaining at the top is a real task. Whether it be changing consumer demands, the ever-evolving marketplace, or crisis situation, Dr. Mehta has never stopped innovating to plug the gaps in the market and to meet rapidly changing consumer food preferences. Dr. Mehta has ensured the tagline that instills cultural pride in the collective consciousness of Indian consumers with effective advertising and strategic alliances. Most of AMUL's advertising celebrates women dairy farmers. The most recent campaign, Mucho Me Tav, campaign was an ode to female farmers for being the champions of the dairy industry and to break the common misconception that all farmers are men. Committed to engaging with youth through sports, Dr. Mehta has ensured strategic partnership with numerous national and international sports teams and events. Most recently, AMUL became official sponsors of the Sri Lankan men's cricket team for T20 World Cup 2024. The company has an on-ground association with Women's Premier League and TV association with prestigious French Open and Wimbledon tennis tournaments. Dr. Mehta supports AMUL's bid to become a guiding force in India's Go Green revolution and aims to become a key player in the circular economy with the launch of a fully automated bio-CNG generation and bottling plant in Banas Dairy, Gujarat. He is a member of the Standing Committee of Marketing of the International Dairy Federation. He is also a member of the Committee on International Trade Policy of the CII. Thank you, Dr. Mehta, for graciously accepting our invitation. We are truly privileged to have you address the 11th Dr. Verghese Kurien's Memorial Oration on Sustainable Development at XLRI this evening. We look forward to your oration. I would like to end with a quote by Dr. Verghese Kurien: "To do as much as good as I can to those who are less fortunate, but I would like to live my life as a common man." Once again, I welcome all of you to this momentous occasion. Thank you, and may God bless us all.
Thank you, Father. We shall now play a short video as a tribute to Dr. Kurien.
I'm one of those who believe that the people of India are good. They're basically good people. They have an ancient civilization behind them. And they have been keeping cows for 5,000 years. So this is nothing new for them. And given half a chance, our people will prove that they can achieve anything. Unfortunately, we have always imposed a structure from above upon them. And when you do that, the talents of our people does not flower. And all that we did in Anand was let the people's power express itself. And in order that it may be effective, we combine their power, which is the biggest asset of India, the power of our people, with professional management to give that power some direction and thrust. And all becomes possible.
At this annual oration of XLRI on sustainable development, we have with us this evening Ms. Nirmala Kurien, daughter of Dr. Verghese Kurien. We are very happy to welcome her at XLRI. Ms. Kurien was born and brought up in Anand, in Kaira district, Gujarat. She has done her fellowship in human relations from the Tavistock Institute of Human Relations, London, after her master's in psychology from MS University, Baroda. She started her career at the Bank of Baroda as manager HR in the head office Baroda in 1981, and she left there as director human resources. Then she joined the Taj Group of Hotels, where she dedicated 16 years of her life, and post this, Miss Kurien worked at Shankara Netralaya Eye Hospital, Chennai, as general manager, from where she superannuated. She has published and curated a book, The Utterly Butterly Milkman, to commemorate Dr. Verghese Kurien's birth centenary in 2021. She is associated with many charities involved in education, healthcare, and women's issues. We are delighted to have her present here today on the occasion of the 11th Dr. Verghese Kurien Memorial Oration. We warmly request her to please come and say a few words.
Good evening, everybody. The Chairman and the Board of Governors, the Director, Dr. Jayen Mehta, staff, and students of XLRI and guests. It is with gratitude that I stand before you for the 11th Dr. Verghese Kurien Memorial Oration. I want to thank Director Father George and all the Board of Governors who have upheld this tradition in memory of my father. I especially remember Father Abraham, who instituted this oration 12 years ago. I thank Mr. Mehta for taking the time to deliver this lecture. Mr. Mehta studied in the Institute of Rural Management at Anand, an institute founded by my father and that held a very special place in his heart. Mr. Mehta worked along with my father at the GCMMF for several years. Today, I would like to reiterate my father's belief that life is a privilege and to waste it would be wrong. In embracing this privilege called life, he emphasized the importance of accepting responsibility for oneself. He urged us to use our talent to the best of our abilities and to contribute somehow to the common good. My father held integrity as the most important value. Understanding true integrity starts with being honest with oneself. Throughout his life, he dedicated himself to the cooperatives, believing they serve as a bridge between rural and urban India and as a means to address the gap between rich and poor. Cooperatives empower our people, mobilizing their strength democratically and reinforcing the right to earn an honest living. Equity and equality were the cornerstones of my father's beliefs. More than half a century ago, my father dared to dream that India, a milk-deficient country, would become self-sufficient. In 1997, almost 3 decades ago, India became the world's largest milk producer and remains so to date. Finally, I end with my father's words. Dream big, challenge the norms, and always strive for the greater good. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. We shall now play a short video of the past speakers. May I request Dr. Jayen Mehta to deliver the oration.
Namaskar and good evening to all of you. Respected Father George, Honorable Director of the Institute, Nirmala ji, a pleasure meeting you. Dr. Sanjay Patra, Honorable Dean, Father D. Silva, Professor Sharad Sareen, Professor Balaji, my guru at IRMA, Professor Dr. Prem Rajan, distinguished members of the faculty, invited guests, ladies and gentlemen, and more importantly, my dear student friends. It's indeed a very, very great pleasure to be here today and very humbling for me also. But before I begin, let me come with a disclosure. And Professor Patro, I think you've selected a very different set of a person to speak at this event, because all the illuminous people you saw who have given the earlier orations, be it from Ilabhat to Vaishali Nigam Sinha ji, or from Mr. Sainath to Suman Roy ji, all are distinguished experts of their respective fields. And here I come and stand before you as a student of Dr. Kurien and try to share my insights and experience into what he had done all his life. तो जैसे कहते हैं हिंदी में कि सूरज को दिया दिखाने वाली बात है, but I'll make my small attempt to talk about what we as people from AMUL and we as citizens of India imbibe the learnings of what he did over his life, how that life continues to touch us, and what is in hold for us in future using this model of cooperatives that we have been able to go. The reason of one more reason for accepting this invitation was to be with you, because when I see this huge gathering of the students at XLRI, it makes me feel very proud. Proud as a parent first, because my son is also studying in college at IIM Bangalore right now. He's almost your age, and he gave up work in an IT company in Norway. And he said that if he wants to pursue education in India, it's because the future lies in India. And in his judgment also, he is very right, like as you are also pursuing the best education from the best institute that India has, which is the XLRI, the oldest business school in India. Because no, this is the best time to be in India, and never ever in the history of the planet you find half of the country, which is 70 crore people, less than 30 years of age or your age, residing in a country at the same time. So whatever happens in India in the next 50 to 100 years, which is your career span, will be gold touching moment for all of you. And I'm sure whatever you will do or you endeavor to do will meet with huge success, not for your personal gains also, but for the society. And we will talk about how you contribute to India, how you contribute to Bharat, what are the returns you get into investing into India, investing into Bharat, and how you make a brighter future out of it. And that's what we'll be talking about that. And as a professional, it gives me immense pride, because what I studied at IRMA after having met Dr. Kurien first time 35 years ago in 1989 at the age of about 20 years, and how that association of working with him in an organization which he created for the brand he built, and that is what has given me immense learnings and at least helped in deciding what's happening for the brand, for the organization, and for the country. And this is where is the great place to be in Jamshedpur, which Dr. Kurien himself, about 80 years back, started his career with, working with Tata Steel in 1944, after he graduated from the engineering college in Madras, spent 3 years here. And then he decided to do dairy technology, go to US and Michigan, and then he came to Anand in 1949. And after that, as they say, is history, and that's the history books we all read, we all follow and believe in. And that is what is a great thing he did. In his story of Dr. Kurien, he has mentioned that he once went to Mr. J.R.D. Tata when he was implementing Operation Flood, and he was thinking that the Tata connection will help Mr. J.R.D. Tata give him 6 to 8 bright managers from the Tata set of organizations to help implement Operation Flood. Unfortunately, that request was declined. But then, in the book, again, written by Dr. Kurien, the foreword has been written by Mr. Ratan Tata himself. And to quote Mr. Ratan Tata, in the foreword he has written for Dr. Kurien's book, An Unfinished Dream, Mr. Tata says that one cannot help but wonder what India would be today if we had 1,000 Kuriens of this type. with the same type of vision, similar commitment, dedication, and national spirit. So this is what Mr. Tata thought about what Dr. Kurien did for the country. And when this XLRI is continuing to uphold this tradition, trying to imbibe the spirit of Dr. Kurien in the young minds that you are, I am filled with a lot of hope and optimism that India will be a much better place in the years to come with the energy of professionals like you who have come in. As was mentioned earlier by the director himself, India was not in a bad shape at the time of independence as far as the dairy industry was concerned. Though we are known as a land of milk and honey, we were in a very bad shape, and it was told that the gutter water of London was bacteriologically superior than the milk available in the city of Bombay. So you can imagine in those times, with that era, with those technology, when the farmers of Kera district in 1946, a year prior to independence, inspired by Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel to form a dairy cooperative society to fight the monopoly of British and the British appointed Polson Dairy to get market access of milk in Bombay, what a revolution it was. And from 2 village cooperative societies and 250 liters of milk that was collected on the first day, today AMUL collects more than 310 lakh liters of milk from about 18,600 villages, where 36 lakh farmer families have formed these dairy cooperative societies. We have 18 district milk unions in Gujarat and 107 dairy plants across the country which sell this entire range of products, more than 50 products, 1200 plus packings, 22 billion packs of AMUL sold every year, a number which is higher than even Coca-Cola put up globally. And with so many millions and billions of consumer transactions, achieving a turnover of 80,000 crore rupees for the brand, making it the largest FMCG and food brand in the world. And in the 50 years of GCMMF, and in the 50 years since the GCM was formed, and this is the time where AMUL also has been ranked as the strongest food brand in the world. We already been the strongest dairy brand, and with this recognition of being the strongest food brand in the world, fills us with a lot of hope and optimism that the efforts that are putting in building the AMUL brand across a variety of products, which are basically a bridge between the producers and the consumers, would bring in larger dividends for the owners, which are the 36 lakh farmers who own this brand, to the billion consumers in India and more importantly around the world. So this is what is the journey happened. But it is not only about AMUL. The same model was replicated across India under the Operation Flood program by the National Dairy Development Board, again chaired by Dr. Kurien. So they transplanted the spirit of AMUL across the country. And today, when we talk about AMUL, there are 28 state federations in the country. Many of you come from Karnataka, you have Nandini brand there. Somebody from Kerala is aware of the Milma brand. Somebody from Bihar knows the Sudha brand. Same Vijaya, Verka, and so on. These are the brands created under the Operation Flood program. And today, more than 1.7 crore families across almost 2 lakh village cooperative societies and 245 district unions are owners of the respective brands of their particular states. Now, this is where the magic of Dr. Kurien came in. And I'm comparing with what's happening in an analogy of cricket. Instead of everybody playing under the Team India label, Dr. Kurien could have easily given the AMUL name to every single dairy cooperative of the country. Instead, he chose the IPL model. He said that every state should have his own brand. And so today, when we talk about AMUL versus Nandini, everybody jumps into it, because like a team, Chennai Super King versus Mumbai Indians and Gujarat Titans and so on and so forth, there are farmer producers rallying behind their state brands. There are politicians also rallying behind their state brands. The consumers also rallying behind the same brands, but not realizing the fact that all these models, all these brands have come out of the womb of AMUL. This is the AMUL model working for the benefit of their respective states and the farmers of their states. The consumers own them. And what has happened because of this is each one of them dominating their respective state, the cooperatives dominating the market, and together we have been able to keep the private and multinationals out of this business. So this is the power of and the genius of Dr. Kurien in giving this model across, but not giving the AMUL name, so that there is competition within the system. And like IPL, there is also a home and away system. Amul may be the strongest brand in the country, strong globally also. But each of the state brands dominate their respective states. So the home is always home for each of these things. Away is away for Amul in most of the cases. But together we work with each of these cooperatives. Together at the back end we support each other, and that's how the dairy cooperative movement goes. And all this helped India become the largest producer of milk in the world. And we are double the number of the second country, which is United States, as well. The quantity of milk is growing, and the rate at which Indian milk is growing today, which is about 24% of the total milk in the world. In the next 10 years, India will produce 1/3 of the total milk in the world. So here is the opportunity for us as India to become a dairy to the world, and for brands like Amul also to seize this opportunity and move ahead with the new role it can get in the times to come. And that is what is the transformation moment for us at Amul here. But more importantly, what has also happened, it's to note before we proceed to that part, is that milk has also become the largest agricultural crop of India. With 12 lakh crore rupees output, the value of milk in India is more than the value of output of wheat, paddy and oil seeds put together. So this is the contribution of 8 crore farmer families in India who produce 2 to 4, 6, 8 liters of milk with the 2, 4, 6 cows or cattle that we have, and it is a source of livelihood for them. So while dairy is a business for the developed countries, in India, livelihood is a very important issue. And this is what taking care of the people living their house, earning enough to feed their families, feed their cows, provide themselves with employment, and also providing nutrition to it. And nutrition to consumers, and more than 1 billion consumers that we have. So India is Atmanirbhar in milk, self-sufficient in milk, and the opportunity we have is seizing up this particular thing of becoming a dairy to the world, and that's where we will build in size, scale, and more importantly, this also makes the topic which we have for today's theme, which is sustainability, become very important, because once you realize that 1/3 of the total milk in the world is produced from India, there will be a lot of people who will be looking at India from that lens. And this is where we as India need to have that kind of a perspective of how we are able to address this issue. And I'll talk about what are several things that we have been doing to address this, and more importantly, highlight the role of dairying in India and making that business much bigger. So the Amul story is known to you, and this is where we have been able to do it. And as Professor Patro mentioned, I have been happy to associate it with as a brand manager when I started my career, and that's where we continue to grow. And when the Honorable Prime Minister visited Amul, and we had an event at the Narendra Modi Stadium in presence of 1 lakh farmers on our Golden Jubilee, he said that since independence, India has had many brands, but Amul jaisa koi nahi. And then he said that he would like Amul to also be ranked among the top brands in the world. So this is what, if the leadership at the country level is giving a mission and a vision to the organization, and the farmers organization has to gear up this particular opportunity. And we at Amul also have been seizing that opportunity. You must have heard about launch of Amul milk in US. So for the first time, milk with 6% fat, the gold milk that we have in India, is being consumed in the US, and it's getting very good results. And same is what we now ready to launch milk in Europe also. So we will be announcing that 2 weeks down the line. And that's where first time in the world, we will have Amul products available in the European market, which is otherwise a very, very restricted market. And to meet the continuous the expectations and requirements of the young generation, many of you sitting here, to the younger people outside this hall, we need to continuously work on innovation, keeping the brand young, keeping the brand dynamic, and also be relevant to whatever we do. So our initiatives on protein, our initiatives on probiotics, trying to work into organics and trying to give food without chemical fertilizers and pesticides with trust to the consumers are some of the new things that we've been doing, along with a lot of capacity expansion and investment in all the parts of the business, be it procurement, processing or marketing, to help it grow the market and build onto this. And we have been very, very blessed to be a part of the Dr. Kurien's ecosystem, where the organizations which he created over a period of time, almost 5 decades, has helping each of the cooperatives work together and grow it. The National Dairy Development Board, of course, is doing hand-holding of all the dairy cooperatives of the country. Dr. Kurien, in his vision, also set up India's largest dairy equipment manufacturing company, which many of you would not know. The Indian Dairy Machinery Company is the largest dairy equipment manufacturing company. He also set up India's largest vaccine manufacturing company, the Indian Immunologicals, which is now a unit of NDDB. So all the vaccines we need for cattle. And let me also tell you that the vaccines which we needed during COVID, the raw material was supplied by them. So this is the kind of the role played by these institutions. And Dr. Kurien, as we know, was a serial entrepreneur. The number of dairy plants that he built, number of cooperatives that we built, the number of organizations that he groomed all his career life were really, really amazing. And each one of them are working and supporting each other into doing this. And when we now talk of not just taking the AMUL products and the AMUL brand globally, there is a huge opportunity for us to also export the AMUL model. What is the AMUL model? It's a 3-tier model in which the farmers organize in a village cooperative society, the district milk processing union processes it, and the state marketing federation markets it. So same thing is now being talked about in different parts of the world. The government of Sri Lanka invited us and said that Sri Lanka, a small country of about 2.5-3 crore population, imports 70% of its dairy requirement. Now, how do you make it Atmanirbhar? So AMUL and NDDB are stepping in. They will be handing over their largest dairy brand, their largest processing factory, and more than importantly 31 farms to this joint venture company. And we have promised to make Sri Lanka Atmanirbhar in dairy in the next 10 years. Same in Kenya. So during G20, we had the executive directors of World Bank, almost 16 of them representing 100 countries globally, visit Anand, look at the model. And then they decide that after seeing the success of this model and the relevance to it under the South-South exchange, they said that if India has to give a gift to the world, it will be this model. So this is where what Dr. Kurien gave us in form of just milk is a power of a model which is replicable not just in India but around the world. And this is where it is the relevance and significance will continue to increase in the times to come. But let's also not forget one important thing he gave to us, and which is now actually even more relevant than before, is the power of cooperatives. His belief in cooperatives, his belief in cooperation is actually triggered a new revolution in India. The government realized that if it has to give the fruits of development to every single individual in the country, there cannot be any better institution than a cooperative to provide it. And so they formed a new Ministry of Cooperation at the central level. Cooperatives, as you know, is a state subject, and it is limited by the vision of the state and the organizations who are registered within the respective state cooperatives to perform. But now at a central level, when you have a ministry and a minister who knows cooperation, who has worked in cooperatives, is a doyen of banking cooperative. And I yesterday attended a centenary celebration of a cooperative bank in Ahmedabad, which shows that seeds of cooperative have been sown in India much long before. This is where we are getting a new impetus and a new direction. In aviation parlance, it's called the tailwinds for the sector. I say tailwinds because earlier times when the country liberalized it, and I have my own experience to it, if you give me a minute to share that. I graduated from IRMA in 1991 and my degree was awarded by Dr. Manmohan Singh, who came in as a deputy chair of the Planning Commission. 2 months down the line, in the month of May, he became the Finance Minister of India. And given the precarious finance situation in India we had, and we had to pledge gold to the banks in UK, they liberalized the economy. And so we were taught in an era of socialism, protectionism, cooperatives being given a milkshed. Once you delicense the economy, you will face competition from abroad, be it in terms of funds, capital coming in, brands coming in, and technically a Nestle could set up a plant next to Amul Dairy in Anand. So that's where we as an organization had to change. We reinvented ourselves, and as a result of which Amul kept up with the change in times. And that's where, if you look at it, the investments made, and that's why I said what you invest in Bharat and what you invest in India. I'll just give you a 20-year-old comparison. That in the year 2003-04, Unilever had a turnover of 11,098 crore rupees. And this year they have a balance sheet of 59,500 crores. So Unilever grew about 5 times in the last 20 years. Nestle was 2,300 something crores in 2003. Last year it was about 19,000 crore rupees. So Nestle grew by 8 times in last 20 years. AMUL was 2,880 crores in 2003. This year our balance sheet is same as Unilever, which is about 59,500 crores. We grew by 20 times. And the brand, unduplicated brand turnover is 80,000 crore rupees, and you can imagine the growth. And we are looking at a 1 lakh crore number, but then again, it is not just the number which matters. It is how the cooperatives as a business perform and what it takes to perform in a time when you have a lot of government support. So as I mentioned, the new Ministry of Cooperation, headed by Mr. Amit Shah, and the Prime Minister's leadership and vision of Sahkar Se Samruddhi is driving about a very, very big change. Most people don't know, but we are now talking about White Revolution 2.0. India has got about 7 lakh villages, and there are dairy cooperatives, as I mentioned, in less than 2 lakh villages. So there are still 5 lakh villages who have not got the benefit of a dairy cooperative. The new Ministry of Cooperation has this vision to set up another 200,000 village dairy cooperative societies in the balance 500,000 villages. So what happened in 50 years of Operation Flood is going to happen in next 5 to 10 years. And I'm sure this is one thing which will make Dr. Kurien immensely happy had he been around with us today. Second thing which is happening is strengthening of the primary agricultural cooperative societies. We know PACS as the tool available for the farmers to get loans in the villages, and credit system is working like that. But if you make the PACS multi-purpose, if you make them more viable, give them more services, more benefits to be offered to the local farmers and the local villagers, they would become viable enterprise, and all the support and schemes of the government, instead of being granted as aid, would be passed through these PACS and eventually to the farmers, and would strengthen the entire cooperative ecosystem. They set up three new multi-state cooperatives. So the government, without investing a single rupee, they got in 5-7 top cooperatives of country, be it the AMUL, NDDB, IFCO, CRIPCO, NAFED, NCDC, NCCF, and asked them to promote 3 new multi-state cooperatives. So there is a multi-state cooperative on exports, which AMUL is the chief promoter. There is a multi-state cooperative on organics, which is NDDB is the chief promoter, and there's a multi-state cooperative on seeds, that the Bharat Beej Sahkari Limited. All the farmers, all the corporate are advised and aligned to become members of these 3 multi-state cooperatives. So you can imagine that you are a farmer associated with any of the cooperative societies, you are a member of the multi-state cooperative on exports. Whatever you produce, this new multi-state cooperative will find a market for it around the world. Imagine the power of market and marketing. AMUL, as I mentioned, started because the farmers went on a strike to get access to the market of Bombay. And that is where from 250 liters, it has grown to a 12 billion liter enterprise annually. So now this multi-state cooperative, as a startup which began its journey a year back, has already done exports of more than 15 lakh tons of rice, of wheat, sugar, onions, etc. It's already done a turnover of more than $500 million US. And it has an order book which is actually another $1 billion. So in the investment parlance, you call it unicorn, which has a $1 billion valuation. And here we are talking of a cooperative which is started with practically little membership, in terms of 8,000 members, but no professional management team yet in place, is doing a turnover of $500 million and growing at a very, very rapid pace. And same is the multi-state cooperative on organics, trying to be a bridge between the producer and the consumer, inviting the producers to produce their things in the organic fashion without chemical fertilizers and pesticides, and consumers will be doing the same. And that's how you create a big business out of that. And they also have very ambitious plans. And farmers in the third cooperative of multi-state cooperative on seeds would produce certified seeds, sell it to themselves, and improve their productivity. And today, half the seeds available in the country are of not the certified varieties, which means less productivity for the farmers and losses for them. So this is the kind of over-encompassing vision that is being put into it. And this is how the cooperatives of the country are coming together to support the farmers and building about a strong cooperative revolution in the country in the new phase. And the results will be already started being visible on the ground. And this is what will bring in multifold benefit to all the producers and members of the cooperatives around the country. So this is where the future of India lies, and this is what the faith, what Dr. Kurien had in cooperatives is going to bring about a very big change in the country in the times to come. Talking about sustainability, and as I mentioned, cow is treated as a villain. People compare the greenhouse gases from dairying, and then they say you're responsible for all what's going around, which is wrong. Our answer to it is very simple. In India, our cows don't have the luxury to graze on large pastures of land like they have in New Zealand, for instance. The cow feeds on the roughage. And with a population of 1.4 billion people, India is among the largest producer of wheat in the world, paddy in the world, maize and other crops in the world also. So what is fed to the humans first after producing the rice, wheat or maize? The roughage and the straw is fed to the cow. Cow eats that roughage and gives us a valuable milk, which has the protein, the fat, the calcium, and the lactose, and so on and so forth. So in our case, cow does the job of converting the roughage into food and actually is providing a very strong service to all of us as humanity, and for a livelihood to the farmers, sustainability to the environment also. But now to take it to a step further, what we have started is collecting the dung of the cow. A cow gives milk 300 days in a year, but dung is produced every day. If you are able to collect that dung and process it into you produce methane out of it, that methane has multiple uses. It can light the stove in the house of a farmer, or you can set up even a community-based biogas plants, or more importantly, a compressed biogas plant, CBG, which can run the cars. So we have worked on all the three models, and because of that, we are able to produce CBG, which is used as a fuel. The liquid or the dung which is left behind is also a biofertilizer which goes back to the farm. So you solve so many problems. The farmer gets additional income from the dung, the farmer is happy. India imports a lot of fertilizer and fuel, and if you are able to produce this in-house, internally within the country using your own resources, the economy is also happy. And of course, when it goes back to the soil, the environment is also happy. So this is what is an initiative happening in a very big way, and we're seeing the results happening. We're scaling up this model rapidly with the investments coming in, and of course the carbon credits, which will play a pivotal role in the industries coming and investing into it. Like we have a tie-up with Suzuki for setting up 5 biogas plants or CBG plants in the country. This is where is going to be a big game changer. And from this, the biogas that we have, the methane, you can also produce green hydrogen. So you can imagine an organization which was dealing in milk, and we have already fired that hydrogen in our pilot scale plants. You can talk about contributing to the hydrogen economy of the country also, and that will give in a huge energy security to the country. Similarly, once you make milk, from milk you make cheese, you have whey, you extract the protein, and from what's left behind, you can actually produce ethanol, which we also started doing it in a small way, and that is another solution to this particular energy problem. So you can imagine, with the volume of milk that we have, with the number of cattle that we have, with the back-end system of infrastructure of collecting and processing all this we have, from a dairy company or along with being a dairy company, AMUL can actually look at transforming into an energy company as well, which is basically in the dairy business. So this is the power of this model, this is the power of the cooperatives, and this is where we as a country can actually bring in solution to global problems with the local solution that we have, and be a part of the change that the world wants to see also, with the benefit of all the stakeholders in this. So before I end, I'll end with a few Dr. Kurien mantras, because I've been his student all my life, and this is what has been gaining about it. The best and the most important thing about Dr. Kurien, that he was a proud Indian. Very, very proud in what India is, and you can imagine he was managing the left well, he was managing the right wing well, he was managing the international forces very well, to see that India gets a pride which it deserves under the sun, and that is what gives us thing. So one thing each one of us should continue to imbibe is the pride in India that we had. And more importantly, our brand name also has the tagline, the taste of India. So you can imagine, when the quality of Indian products was not good, he said that my AMUL will be the best in the world, and that's why he didn't mind or hesitate even once to give a taste of India with the AMUL name, and that's what is the thing we continue to uphold. We continue to talk to our customers, not just in English or Hindi, but in 16 languages. We are the only brand in India which has social media handles in 16 languages, many of the state languages and some non-so-state languages like Sindhi or Sanskrit. And that's how, that's our Indianness also working and speaking in action. We talked about cricket and IPL, and Dr. Kurien was a big fan of cricket. Very serious he was in whatever meetings he has. And there's a legend which says Dr. Kurien used to wake up at 3:30 in the morning. Nirmala ji, correct if I'm wrong. Many of us in Irma used to actually go around the place and see if the lights of his home were on at 3:34 in the morning. But that's what the disciplinarian he was for himself. He would be the best well-read man in a meeting any time. He would read every single note, every single word of that note, and be ready with his comment if at all required in a meeting. He would vet every single creative of AMUL, and the agency would actually shiver before making a presentation to him, and that was his strong thing. But again, his conviction was that he will not change a word what the agency said. He says the professionals should be best left to do their job, and we should not interfere in that work. And these professionals, he trusted his architects, he trusted his civil contractors, he trusted his advertising people, he trusted all the professionals he employed, because he says if you trust them and leave them on their own, you will get the best. And that's what we are seeing. The institutions that you've created continue to grow because of that faith and belief in him. But again, talking about those meetings, suddenly, as the meetings are going on, and he will get his PA will come with a slip of a paper, and then he will nod it and leave it on his desk. We would all wonder at times, why is he giving a serious look to this paper? But as a smart and witty person he would say India is 116 for 4 at Eden Gardens. So he would, from his teleprompter, we didn't have Google in those days or ClickBuzz in those days. So the scores would come through the teleprompter, and in the middle of the meetings also, he would keep a track of what's going on in the cricket, and this is what he was lover of sports there. People know him to be very tough and a tough taskmaster, which he was. But my interactions with him, and Nirmala ji, correct me if I'm wrong, he was very soft at heart and very, very caring. Both Mrs. Kurien and Dr. Kurien and I used to travel with them often, both domestic and internationally. They would take care of everyone and look after everybody. And that's what a person he was, and that's what the thing is. And I'll end with an incident which happened on his 90th birthday. Dr. Kurien's favorite in advertising is the AMUL girl. And on his 90th birthday at his residence, we went to greet him with 90 candles. And I have a daughter, she was 5 years then. We dressed her up as an AMUL girl. So when Dr. Kurien met my daughter, he had twinkle in his eyes. And there were several senior people in the room, but the maximum time he spent was with this little girl. He also offered, will you stay here? Yahan ruk jao aap. And when he was blowing the 90 candles, you could see the twinkle in his eyes. So this was Dr. Kurien. This was his passion for life. This was his love for everybody around him. And that's what made him a very, very unique person, a very, very great person, but with such a nice warmth, humility, and the personal touch he used to give to all of this. I'll end with just two things what Dr. Kurien has left behind for all of us, and what I have imbibed and learned personally from him. His two mantras, one was, when he was asked, what would you look in a person? And what are the 3 traits you look in a person or a professional? And his answer was, the 3 things are integrity, integrity, and integrity. This is what he believed in, this is what he trained us, this is what he taught us, and this is what he practiced. And this is what actually is the need of the hour, continues to be relevant, and we as in our personal lives and professional lives, this becomes the very, very most important thing to do. And the second thing he taught us was to work without fear or favor. With this, he says, if whatever you do wrong, but if you are working fearlessly and you have not taken any favor for such things, you should not worry about the results. He says, I will not even take any, I will be backing you up in case anything goes wrong, but do this. And this is what mantra which has stayed with us. And as a result of which, we've been doing a lot of things, we failed in many things, succeeded in a few things, but still, as professionals, it gives us a lot of strength and courage. And even as I sit in my office, I have a large big portrait of Dr. Kurien right behind me, and I know that he has our back. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir, for your thought-provoking and inspiring oration. Dr. Mehta will now take questions from the audience from his seat.
All those who ask questions will be given an Amul hamper. All those who don't ask will be given Amul chocolates. So I'm driving you both ways.
Hello. Hello. Very good evening, sir. My name is Murli Krishna. First of all, thank you very much for accepting the invitation and gracing this event. So my question is on adulteration of dairy products in India. That is a serious threat we are facing now. And since dairy is very much connected to children and future of the nation, so I wanted to ask you and give your valuable insights into this area, how as a nation we can face this threat.
It's a very, very good point. And after the Tirupati Laddu thing, it's even become very, very important to realize that adulteration has to be detected at all places. We being in the dairy industry, when, as I mentioned, 300 lakh liters twice a day, 36 lakh farmers, every single transaction, at least at Amul and most of the organized dairies in India would follow that protocol. We test, and what is called the GC testing, and everybody in India knows the S value, S1, 2, 3, 4. We do the GC testing of milk at the time of procurement, processing, and before releasing in the market. So purity, adulteration is very good. Consumer awareness is equally important. And that's where we are seeing a big shift happening, that people moving from loose, unorganized to packaged and branded products. And particularly in food and dairy, as I mentioned, milk is the largest agricultural crop of the country. Similarly, milk is the single largest item we spend in our food consumption basket. So both sides, it's very important. Consumer has to be aware of it, and brands are more responsible than anyone because people would trust a product blindly. And that's what our full-time job is, to ensure that the products we sell meet the highest standards of quality, even higher than what the norms are or the government standards are at times. And it's a good question you asked, but again, most important for all of us as a brand.
Thank you very much.
Hello, good evening, sir. So basically in our campus, there's a huge demand for Amul products. So we always want Amul ice cream. But the thing is that when I asked with the shopkeeper, why doesn't he have it? So he says whenever the ice cream comes to the distributor, it's always out of stock instantly because there's a supply chain issue with that. So what is Amul doing for that, since the demand is so high but the supply is not there?
Very, very good point. I anticipated this question. So on the way to this place, I requested the director and the dean for setting up an Amul parlor. हमको एक जगह दे दो, अमूल का पार्लर आ जाएगा. एंड माई ब्रांच मैनेजर इन द जोनल सेल्स हेड, मैं भी उनको लेके आया था क्योंकि मुझे पता है कि सब मेरी पिटाई हो उसके पहले उनका क्लास ले लिया जाए. So you raised a good point. So till we get a parlor, please ensure that our supplies are here. Please let me tell you very clearly, there is no shortage of any Amul product anywhere. It's a supply chain gap. We will have to crack it. Yeah, you're right. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.
We always wondered where, how big Amul has grown. My question to you is, what do lactose intolerance people do, and have you produced something for us also?
You can count me in that group. And like you, I have also thought about looking after myself. But fact is, there's nothing, I mean, as serious lactose intolerance as it, but many people are not comfortable with. So we have come out with a lactose-free milk. We have come out with lactose-free ice cream also, and lactose-free peda also. So I'm sure you'll not miss out on any of the milk-related, gaps that you can otherwise feel if you are lactose intolerant. We can do the sampling of lactose-free milk so that at least you will have a coffee after perhaps a long time with the taste of milk. Thank you, sir. Yes, ma'am. आप खड़े होके पूछिए जोर से. सेल्स में होंगे तो आवाज अपने आप तेज होगी, कोई चिंता मत करो.
Hello, sir. So it was a great talk. So I wanted to know about the Amul
AMUL's protein range, that you've launched a new protein range. So how is it comparing to the international imported protein, and how has the market grown in India?
Very, very good point. The Kala Dabba market is very large. Imported protein market, which is sold or repacked in India. But the fact is that 70%, and as per independent studies, 70% of that is not what the label says. We realized that we had to step in to do it. We are the largest manufacturer of cheese in India, paneer in India. We have the best quantity and largest volume of whey, which is about 3 million liters a day. From that whey, you can extract whey protein. And from that protein, you can make a variety of products. So we launched high protein lassi, 15 gram protein, no fat, no sugar in 200 ml at just 25 rupees. Same high protein buttermilk. Then we got into whey protein concentrate. Again, sir, making it lactose free. So we have whey protein concentrate, which is plain, 32 gram sachet, giving you 25 gram of protein, which is lactose free. Same in chocolates also, blueberry shake. And we also developed, which is world's highest protein beverage, a 250 ml milk, giving you 35 gram of protein. Then we have high protein curd also, and a variety of high protein products in the pipeline as well. I'll tell you a small story related to it. In year 1998-99, I attended one International Dairy Federation's annual event at Athens in Greece. And we were in one of the seminars, and there was a scientist who was speaking. Most of the things I couldn't understand, but one line he said stayed with me even today. He said that today when we use milk to make cheese, we eat the cheese and throw the whey away, which is a fact. A day will come, he said in 1999, when we make cheese out of whey, we will throw away the cheese and use the whey. So this is a powerful statement he made 25 years back, telling about the power of whey and the protein inside the whey. And then in 2018, when I became the MD of AMUL, first thing I did was look at the whey and see how we can add value out of it. So it took a long time for us to do this. But today at this price point, 15 gram protein in 25 rupees is a killer combination for the purest whey, which is made from our own cheese whey. And we're trying to give the products. The market is growing leaps and bounds. There will be a complaint from many of you. We are selling online. It's not available in a retail shop. But it's done with a deliberate purpose because consumers otherwise treat Amul Lassi as Amul Lassi, and anybody has a Lassi which is high protein and less of sweetness and no fat, they will find the taste odd. But protein consumers like you would buy online, and that's where we sell it. We have more than 300,000 customers buying from us regularly, and that is giving us confidence to launch a lot more products in this space. Thank you for this question.
Thank you.
Hello, sir. Good evening. It was a great talk. So over here, sir. Sir, here, sir. Yes. Hello, sir. So it is a sense of great pride and honor that India is the leading dairy producer of the world, most of which backs on the marginal farmers, which have few number of indigenous and Indian breeds of cows and buffaloes. But a problem that comes with it is the level of productivity. Although we have highest level of production, but limited level of productivity. And when it comes to increase the productivity of dairy industry, we have to bring in foreign breeds like Holstein Friesian or Brown Swiss or Jersey to be accurate. So my question to you is, sir, going forward, what do you see is the scope for improvement, and what are the opportunities to increase the productivity of dairy farming in India, especially with the indigenous breeds?
Okay. Very, very good question. Aapka naam?
Sir, Om Shukla.
Om has hit the nail because this is where is not just a challenge for India, it's also the challenge or the opportunity for the farmers. Our cattle today, as I mentioned, are fed on the roughages. So we are not taking care of their feed requirements. But the crossbreeding part helped in improving the productivity. So a nondescript cattle with India will give 3 liters or 4 liters of milk a day. A crossbred variety will give you 8 to 10 liters a day. But then if the same cow gives you more milk, which means more income from the farmer, and when we are looking at doubling of the milk production in next 10 years, we can't double the number of cows. So a lot of efforts are happening into improving the breed. Sorted sex semen is a very important way, which is where you produce only the female and not the males, which means you have more productive cattle available for the farmers and giving him continuous income. Second is the breed improvement program. The third is the genetic mapping. Through chips, we are able to diagnose now that this is a calf which is a high yielding cow, rather than waiting for the conventional way to detect there is a high yielding cow or a calf coming way, because then the semen of that bull would be lost by the time you are able to assess the volume of milk that calf and the progeny is producing. And most important now, and which is the leapfrogging, like India went from copper wire straight into 5G or 4G, is the embryo transfer technology. In an embryo transfer technology, you don't need the highest or the proven variety of cows. From a non-disc embryo, of a non-disc embryo, you can produce the highest yield variety cow using the embryo transfer technology from the womb of a non-descript cow. So we have cows now in our farms which give 30 liters of milk a day, which is say 12,000, 10,000 liters per lactation as compared to 2,000-3,000 liters which a normal cow gives. So this is the leapfrogging which is going to happen. We will have from the regular cows the best quality embryos bred calf, and which will give the milk. And this obviously for feeding also we'll have to play an important thing. We are largest manufacturers of cattle feed, and that will help do this. And the good part with the cooperative like us is the farmer doesn't have to go and look for the market. And as a result of it, whatever milk the farmer produces will be coming to AMUL. He will get or she will get the best price of milk, and that will help India take higher leaps in milk production through the organized sector in the years to come.
Maybe one last question, please.
So what is your opinion about A1 milk and A2 milk? A lot of the startups are like talking about A2 milk, but I don't see AMUL talking about that.
The two things. A, the science is not, the jury is not out that A2 is better than A1. So Abhi, we don't want to get into it. It was a marketing tool done by an A2 corporation which tried to seek premium out of this milk. So that is part one. This is a fact. But again, market doesn't go by facts alone. It's perception, and that's what people are willing to pay 3, 4, 5 times more price for what is called A2 Deshi ghee. Barabar? Now the irony, ghee is fat. A2 is a protein. कोई भी घी में प्रोटीन नहीं होता है क्योंकि फैट ही होता है. So there is nothing like an A2 Deshi ghee available market, though you may pay any price for it, it's okay. So this is a bogus thing which obviously we've been talking about. There's nothing like A2 ghee, so stop it. But the best part is that we don't know what happens, and globally suddenly A2 becomes a big fad, to a trend, to a market opportunity. We are silent on it for a simple reason that all our buffalo milk is A2. All the Deshi Gai ka doodh in India is A2. Even the crossbred is largely A2, and in India we don't have the pure breeds what Om mentioned just now. Okay? We don't have the pure jerseys and brown Swiss and Holstein in our country. So, agar future mein opportunity aayi, to India will be the A2 capital of the world. But science again is not saying that A2 is better than A1, so we can't as a brand make claims. But हमारा market में A2 buffalo milk जो हम बेचते हैं उसमें A2 लिखा हुआ है, ठीक है? और गाय का घी बेचते हैं उसमें लिखा नहीं है A2. Hope that answers. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Mehta, for answering the questions and providing insightful clarifications. I request Dr. Sanjay Patro to give the vote of thanks.
Reverend Father George, our director, Dr. Jayen Mehta, the MD, GCMMF, Ms. Nirmala Kurien, Father Donald, my esteemed faculty colleagues, students of both Jamshedpur and Delhi, and the members of the media, guests from the city, from Tata Steel and other corporates, and our distinguished alumni members present here. On behalf of XLRI, I would like to extend our heartfelt gratitude to Dr. Jayen Mehta for sparing his valuable time to come over here to deliver the Dr. Verghese Kurien oration on sustainability. Who would have been a more appropriate person than Dr. Mehta, who has worked in that organization for 34 years and about 23 years in direct contact with Dr. Kurien. He narrated some of his personal experiences of Dr. Kurien. You know, in his talk, he spoke about how Dr. Kurien was a proud Indian, how he transformed the country from a milk deficit country to the largest milk producing nation. And, all of you know, Dr. Kurien had a Tata connection. After his engineering, he joined Tata Steel as an engineer. With a government scholarship, he went to US, as Dr. Jayen Mehta mentioned, to the University of Michigan. And after he returned, like any person, in those days, 1949, would have thought of serving the corporate sector. Since he had taken a government grant, he had to work for a couple of years, and he was sent to a small village in Gujarat, that is Anand. What happened later is history. He converted a milk deficit country into the largest milk producing country. He brought professionalism in his talk, as you said. Even the words that reverberate is three important things for a manager is integrity, integrity, and integrity. All of you, the junior students are just from the SIP. There will be few more rollouts. And this is the right time to work with dedication, with the message that you are getting today. Why at XLRI this is the 11th edition of Dr. Kurien's oration. We strongly believe that young men, women empowered with the professional knowledge, when they try to solve the contextual problems, it is not adopting a model from US or anywhere, but when they try to solve the problem of the locality of our people. Many startups are doing that. That A2 question is related to the startups. Yeah, magic is going to happen. So at the end of this, we feel, if 50, 100 of you, some of you can take Kurien as your ideal and try to change the face of the commodity. And as our XLRI's motto is changing the face of the earth, we believe Kurien did that. That's why we were continuing this tradition of inspiring our youngsters. I thank Ms. Nirmala Kurien for coming over. She had come here earlier, and always she will share certain anecdotes, certain stories which inspires all. So, as we say, all of you are familiar with China being the factory of the world. India is the, we say India is the back end of services sector of the world. And today we got to know that India would be the dairy to the world. So 1/3 of the world's production coming from India is something, can we do that in a couple of other commodities? Converting a commodity into the brand is in the hands of bright minds like you. You can do that, you can nurture those ideas, those dreams, and I'm sure some of you would be able to make it happen. Ms. Nirmala Kurien spoke of the challenges that would come on your way, but dreaming big, challenging all odds, and doing something for the greater good is what XLRI stands for, and I'm sure many of you would carry that message with all of you. I thank Father Donald for giving a nice historical perspective to the Father Pedro Arrupe Center of Excellence, the Center of Ecology and Sustainability. for his office to maintain providing the logistical support, the back-end help. Ms. Anuja Sumi from the director's office, Rumpi and James there, Sanjay and Prasant, and the large team from my dean's office, and about 25 of the staff who worked in the back end to make this event a smooth one. So with these, I thank the members of the media and all of you for being here today. Thank you.
May I call upon our director, Father S. George, to present the mementos to Dr. Jayen Mehta. May I call upon Father Donald De Silva to present the mementos to Miss Nirmala Kurien. Please rise for the national anthem.
जनगण मन अधिनायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता पंजाब सिंध गुजरात मराठा द्राविड़ उत्कल बंगा विंध्य हिमाचल यमुना गंगा उच्चल जलधि तरंगा तव शुभ नामे जागे तव शुभ आशीष मागे गाहे तव जय गाथा जन गण मंगलदायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता जय हे जय हे जय हे जय 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 हे.
We have come to the end of the proceedings. Thank you and have a wonderful evening.